First time I came here in '93 because I was not actually meant to even come to India. I was traveling with His Holiness Bhakti Maharaja in Russia, being his interpreter and traveling secretary. And then he was going to India and he suggested that I should come with him. And I had no money at the time, and he said, you should just try and find some money, and he gave me himself $100. And then I prayed to his deities, to his Govardhan Shiva, that Giriraj would make an arrangement, and then somehow everything came in place, and I got a ticket, and I had enough money to pay basic expenses, and then I went. But I didn't have enough, and the first place we arrived was here in Mayapur, and I couldn't even afford paying for my stay. And the devotees were asking, so why did you come? And I said, Bibi Govinda Maharaj, Ayodhya, at that time he invited me to come with him because he wanted me to say something during the GBC meetings. And then they said, well, if you came on his request to take part in GBC meetings, you should go to this GBC secretary, who was Bhakti. And then maybe he could help you with accommodation. And then when I came, I was quite young devotee, I was just 4 years in the movement. And I came and Bhakti said, well, we could engage you maybe in our secretary, in our secretariat to help with the GBC functioning, the GBC work. And somehow, being for the very first time in India, I was made into a head of the team who was serving the GBC during the meetings. And I had a few Bengali boys under me. And it was very amazing meeting because after a long time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj came after a long break. He was not taking part in the meetings due to his studies, I suppose. And something happened that I kind of upset him in some way, and then he kind of shouted at me, and I felt a little bit upset. But then I thought, well, it's not good. And I tried to serve him, but I guess because he was a very sensitive person, he felt that I was upset, and maybe he didn't feel so good that he shouted at me. And then my authorities, who were also in Mayapur, they were saying, maybe you should get the second initiation. And I said, I'll ask my spiritual master, Srila Maharaj. And Maharaj said, well, it's not, in Russia there is a standard that you can get second initiation after you are initiated for at least 2 years after the first one. And it was not like few months more, I was few months short. And Indradhyumna Maharaj said, maybe it's better that you wait till summer and then I'll give you initiation, Brahminical initiation in summer. Because if I make exception for you, then other devotees might complain and they might also want an exception. And I was quite happy with it, and so I forgot about the whole idea because the initiative was coming from my authorities. It didn't come from me. I was not even thinking about it. And then I had prasadam and I had accommodation provided for free, but after the meetings were over and before the Navadip Mandal Parikram started, there were a few days without the meetings, so I was kind of struggling without prasadam. And oh no, actually this was not the case. After the meetings were over, and one of the last days of the meeting, Tamal Krishna Maharaj spoke up and he said, Prabhupada really wanted all of us leaders to come to the holy dham to hear and chant and associate with the devotees, give our association to the devotees. We don't come just for taking part in the meeting, but I see that the tendency is that after the meetings everyone's leaving Mayapur. So, and he said it's wrong thing to do. So all of you would have to stay for Navadip Mandal Parikram and give your association to the devotees. And he was really a strong leader, and so everyone had to comply, and everyone changed their plans, and they were ready to go to Navadip Mandal Parikrama. As a result, it became one of the most impressive parikramas with maybe 50 or 60 sannyasis taking part. And so Tamal Krishna Maharaj was really like pushing everyone to go without giving anyone a chance to escape. And so Indradimna Maharaj was also going, and they were staying with Tamal Krishna Maharaj in neighboring rooms. And early in the morning, when Maharaj was packing up Indradimna Maharaj to go, I was outside of his door helping him to load these things and seeing him off. And then while I was on the veranda of the conch building, Tamal Krishna Maharaj came out of his room, already going to board his car to go to Parikrama. And when he was passing by me, I offered my obeisances and he said, "So you're also coming to Navadip Mandal Parikrama?" I said, "No, Maharaj, I'm sorry. I'm staying back." And then he gave me a look as if I was kind of, the most wretched and condemned person on the planet, some kind of demon or something. And I felt bad, but anyway, what could I say? And then he turned around and he started walking away, but then he stopped and he turned and he said, "What is the reason? Why aren't you coming?" And I said, "Well, Maharaj, you see, I don't really have money to pay for the parikrama." And he said, "It's only like $35, you don't have that money?" I said, "Yes, Maharaj, sorry, this is the situation." And he said, "Oh, this is really easy, I'll pay for you. And then, but you should go now to the reception and register yourself. I'll write a note." And then he wrote a note that, "Please register this devotee Uttama to join the parikrama and I'll pay you later." And then I came with this note to the reception, and the receptionist, he was kind of ex-Gurukuli boy, Italian, and he was, quite, what do you call, and he was quite bold, and he was like not making exceptions to anyone. And when I brought the note, and he said, "So what's happening?" And I said, "Well, I want to get on the parikrama." And he said, "We're making no exceptions, no discounts or anything like that. If you cannot pay, you cannot go." And then I handed him the note. And then he read the note and he said, "Oh my God, it's really terrible." And I said, "Why?" Maharaj says that he will pay for me, so what's the problem? And then he said, "I want to see the face of that person who would have the nerve to go to Maharaj and remind him about the payment, so we would have to register you for free, I guess." So then I went onto the parikrama, and of course this was a really amazing parikrama with so many senior devotees, and kirtans were just out of this world, absolutely. And everyone was dancing like crazy, etc., etc. So, I mean, anyone who took part in this parikrama, these memories stand out in their minds. And then after the parikrama, after we came back, and I was kind of struggling with paying my prasadam. And then one devotee, Ananda Chaitanya Prabhu, he was quite well off at the time, rich sponsor in his yatra, and we were kind of talking with him, and he said, would you like some Mahaprasadam from the Mahaprasadam stand? And I was there with one other devotee, and he said, "You can choose anything you want and I'll pay for it." And we were really hungry, and we took tons of Mahaprasadam. And then we ate all this Mahaprasadam, and it was late evening, and I had no idea that the tap water is not safe to drink in Mayapur, and I drank a lot of tap water. And in the morning I was completely sick with diarrhea and fever. And this was Gaur Purnima day. And I couldn't even get out of my room, and I couldn't go to any morning program or anything like that. And then the question about my second initiation was already decided, that I'm not getting anything at that time, and I already forgot about it. And then suddenly in the morning, one of my god brothers runs into the room and he says, "Quickly, we have to go and see our Guru Maharaj." I even had a chance to ask, what can I do for him? He said, "Quickly, get ready. There will be initiation ceremony and you are getting second initiation." And I was completely shocked. I didn't expect that. And then I didn't ask any questions, so I went out of my room being completely bewildered. And then I came across my god brother, Nrsimha Kavacha Prabhu. And he said, "So you're getting second initiation?" And I said, "How do you know?" And he said, "I know because I was in the room when our Guru Maharaj spoke with Tamal Krishna Maharaj." So he was, Indradimna Maharaj was asking Tamal Krishna Maharaj, how were the GBC meetings, etc. And then, amongst other things, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was mentioning, "Oh, we have one Russian boy serving the meetings of Tamas Lokadas, and he's doing a really good job. Somehow he appreciated me." And Indradimna Maharaj said, "Yeah, he's my disciple, and someone recommended him for second initiation, but in Russia they have the standard so that they have to wait 2 years, but he's few months short, so I said he would get his second initiation a few months later when we'll be traveling together." But then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, "No, how can you do that? Because this is Mayapur and this is Gaur Purnima, this is the best time, you should give him second initiation right here, right now." And because Indradimna Maharaj was accepting Tamal Krishna Maharaj as his senior god brother and authority, he said, "Yes, if you say so, I'll do that." And I was actually sitting next to Bibi Govinda Maharaj, who was getting sannyas initiation. Our fires were next to each other.
Same ceremony.
Yeah, and so it was really amazing, a lot of mercy. And yeah, this is always my experience in Sri Mayapur. It just, mercy of Lord Chaitanya is so easily available, just flowing like Ganges River.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do much, you just have to be there and get all the mercy. So, it's very clear why Srila Prabhupada wanted Mayapur Chandradhan Mandir to be built, and because he wanted the whole world to come to Mayapur and get Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Because it's so much here available for everyone.